Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias.
Hi everybody, Tobias here. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Most of the content you're going to see right now was first shown on Kitty's Corner. Due to circumstances beyond my control, I basically just have not had time to actually shoot a new video. Not to mention, it doesn't help if the three knives that I've ordered are still being tied up in the mail and just are not showing up. These knives, I've been waiting for them for over 2 weeks now. One of these days they will show up, I hope. Anyway, hope you enjoy this. For the folks in Kitty's Corner, might be a little bit of a rerun, but most of the stuff is well over a year old, so you might have forgotten it. In any case, here we go.
Hi, and welcome to Kitty's Corner. I'm hoping this will work. What I have here is a Smith & Wesson Grapes of Wrath, I believe is what they called it. And it is basically a cross between a folding hunter, a liner lock folding hunter, and a Laguiole knife, a French Laguiole knife. You see here on the back, you've got the bumblebee, you've got the supposed file work going on with the back spring, and you got the little pigtail back there, better known as a corkscrew. And the corkscrew is really in there well. Does have a little bit of overplay, which is good. I like that in the corkscrew. It means that it's less likely to break and everything if you have that little bit of overplay, because you can wiggle the cork out of the bottle a bit. Got a thumb stud going on here. I might try and reverse the thumb stud. It does work right-handed. It is kind of stiff. Might need to just be cleaned, but you can, in theory, open it one-handed. It is a big knife, a very big knife. Overall length, as you can see here, comes in right at almost 9 inches. Very similar to like what you see in a Buck 110, in that the handle is about 4 7/8 inches, but it's a big chunky handle. You got the liner lock going on there. The blade is too stiff for me to actually close it one-handed, not to mention just the size of the knife, but you can move it over and close it. See, it kind of rocks going around too. That it is not a smooth action on it. The way I know it's called the Grapes of Wrath is because right there it says Smith & Wesson Grapes of Wrath. On the back side, it gives a pattern name or pattern number, CKGW. I don't know what the CK stands for. I'm assuming the GW stands for Grapes of Wrath. Got nickel silver bolsters, Packawood handles, brass pins, looks like stainless steel liners. These might also be stainless steel bolsters. You can see right there the pen in the middle there. I do not know exactly when these knives were first made or anything like that. I saw it on eBay. Because of what it was, I had to go ahead and grab it, and glad I picked it up. I have almost given it away a couple times, but every time I start to give it away, it's like, this really does kind of fit in with all those other knives you have, all those other picnic knives you have, so you kind of have to keep it, and that's why it's still in the collection. It's kind of a funky knife. It's definitely a heavy knife, but it's also something you just don't see every day. And, well, I thought I would show it to you guys here on Kitty's Corner. Hope you enjoyed it. Talk to you again soon. So I was moving some things around in the old cavern down here, and I went over and looked at my Gilhaven Silver Shadow, which had been sitting in the sheath, and I noticed that the leather flap here was looking kind of bad, and basically it had been torn about that far, just hanging with the knife on there. And I noticed it way over that way. Took it off, took the knife out, and then like, wow, that's pretty bad. And I started going like this a little bit and a little bit more, and it just ripped all the way across, because as you can see, this really isn't leather. It's like pressed together bits of leather and formed into something like a leather-like product. And you can kind of tell that from what you're seeing here. See that? That is like pressed fiber leather. It's not true leather. Good sign that it was definitely made in China or someplace, or even worse than that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors from my Victorinox outdoor, what is this, the Outrider. I'm going to try and trim this. And would you look at that? That's not what you should be able to do with real leather. I think we could all agree with that. And that's what you pay for with some of this crap that you get. Looks good, but that's kind of pathetic. Wouldn't you agree? Looks a little better now. Who knows how long it will last? And this is just from the knife sitting in there. And this is why I would much rather have a decent quality nylon sheath than a piece of crap leather sheath, because these things fall apart so fast it's ridiculous. Again, look at that. And this is supposed to be like what? That looks like a piece of leather that's about 3/16 of an inch thick. Yet I'm cutting it with a pair of Swiss Army scissors to make it even. And I know it's just going to continue to fall apart and fray. But in any case, I thought I'd share that with you. It's kind of sad. But you know, that's what you get sometimes. And this is, you know, one of the more expensive fantasy knives. Gil Hibben, you know. This isn't Frost Cutlery. In any case, thought I'd share that with you. Hope you enjoyed it. And, well, sometimes you really don't get what you pay for. Here's the so-called leather flap that was up here on the knife. And you can see where the strap here, the retaining strap, was cutting into the side there. But when you look at that, you can actually peel it apart. And now I've got a piece of so-called leather here. Genuine leather. There you go. That's what you get sometimes. Being passed off as, you know, top grade genuine leather. With a rather prominent name too, Gil Hibben. Anyway, there you go.
Yee, howdy, boys and girls. It's your old pal Yakima Bob, and I'm here with my good friend Jackalope Jake. Say hi, Jackalope Jake.
Hi, Jackalope Jake.
No, say hi to the boys and girls, Jake.
Oh, hi, boys and girls.
That's better. Now, for those who are not familiar with us, Jake and I are the spokes team for the Don't Get Eaten by a Bear Foundation. And we have been running the numbers, and we have found a surprising statistic that they don't usually report on the news. And that has to do with who gets eaten by bears. And surprisingly, there's one group of people who seem to be protected from bear attacks. And it's not just people who stay in their houses, because bears actually attack people in their houses too. Ain't that right, Jake?
That's right, Bob.
Yeah. The people we have discovered who have never been eaten by bears are subscribers to Knife Chats with Tobias. That's correct. There has yet to be a single subscriber to Knife Chats with Tobias who have been eaten by bears. So my suggestion to you is, if you do not want to be eaten by bears, subscribe to Knife Chats with Tobias. And better yet, become an active subscriber. Ring that bell, leave comments, you know, and share his posts and stuff like that. That way the bears will know that you are a subscriber to Knife Chats with Tobias and you won't be eaten. But you know what? If you want to live dangerously, just don't subscribe. But don't come crying to me when you get eaten by a bear because you didn't subscribe to Knife Chats with Tobias. What do you say, Jake? Are you a subscriber?
No.
Well, you better hurry up and subscribe, Jake. Otherwise, we might not be a spokes team anymore. I might just be a spokesperson.
I'm subscribing today, YB.
That's what I would do too, Jake.
Everybody should subscribe.
All right, boys and girls, you've been warned. If you want to live and don't get eaten by a bear, then I suggest subscribing to Knife Chats with Tobias.
I know I am.
Remember, there are bears out there. You don't want to be eaten by one.
Hi, everybody. These are 3 snippets for upcoming videos here on Knife Chats with Tobias. So you're seeing them first here on Kitty's Corner. Now, these are just parts of upcoming videos, so it's kind of like a sneak peek. Unfortunately, I don't have anything else for you right now, but I hope to come up with a way to increase the volume of content for Kitty's Corner in the very near future. I'm hoping to try and get a little bit more out there for you. We'll see if it works. If not, well, I will try something else because I do feel like I have not been giving you guys as much content as you deserve. So hopefully that will change in the near future. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy these sneak peeks of 3 different upcoming videos.
So I'm thinking maybe this could be a nice 2 for Tuesday, as both of these are Ozark Trail knives. Now I've shown this one before, but I haven't shown this one yet. This is their Swiss Army knockoff. And the cool thing about this one is right here. This is a what do they call it? A 2-dimensional Phillips screwdriver. So that's pretty cool. So might be talking about these 2 knives as a 2 for Tuesday. Now this one, when I showed it before, is like I think it's a 6-in-1 or something. And when I got it, the flashlight wasn't working, and I thought maybe it was because the batteries were dead. But nope, I was wrong. Williams Knife Life clued me in, and really what the problem was is the batteries for the flashlight were inside here, and they were there was a little piece of plastic that was wrapped around them, and that was causing enough separation between the two that well, between the batteries, that it wasn't actually lighting up. This is kind of cool that you can take it out and wait, what? Hold on. Now, this is not the Highland buoy, but this is my old Mountain Man buoy, where the handle was beginning to fall apart. The leather was cracking and everything else, so I ended up taking it apart. And I discovered it also had an encapsulated tang. And what we're talking about with an encapsulated tang is what you're seeing right here. So you have the handle back here, and then you have a short tang that goes through the guard here, and then it is spot welded in place. And if you notice, there's a cutout on either side here, so that this tang is kind of stuck in there and will not move, especially once you weld it in place and everything. But you have a handle that was a separate piece, and so what you end up doing is you have a short tang where you push the guard up onto it, and then you weld the handle behind it, or weld the handle to the tang behind the guard, and that's what's known as an encapsulated tang. And there's a lot of knives out there, especially lower priced Bowie knives, that have that. And they're not just done by Rough Rider, they are done by a number of companies. And they hold up quite well. However, it's not a true full tang. And usually the way you can spot it is by looking at where the guard is. You can see how much of the steel is going through there. And if you look on the other side and you do not see the same thing, you can spot it on the other side here, how much steel actually went through the guard versus how wide the blade is. So that's how you can tell if it is an encapsulated tang or not. Now, obviously this makes this the weakest point possible. This probably should be a second video, and maybe it will be. But in any case, the reason I'm mentioning that is what you're going to be seeing well, I don't know when, but in the near future, the Highland buoy is going to be coming back out, and it will have a full tang. And the way you'll be able to tell the difference between the Highland buoy without a full tang and the ones with a full tang is with the guard, because it's going to have a two-piece guard in order for the handle to pass all the way through there. So what you're going to eventually see is a new Highland buoy, which was a very popular knife, and people still swear by it even with the encapsulated tang. But you will start seeing a new one that is going to have a two-piece guard and a full tang. So if it was a knife that you really liked but passed on because it had the encapsulated tang, be happy to know that a new one will be coming out, and it will have a full tang and a two-piece guard. So that'll be pretty neat. In any case, one of these days I'm going to finish the handle on this and have myself a new Mountain Man buoy. Any case, with that said, I guess I'll let you go, and I'll talk to you again soon. So there's an open tag going around on modern slip joints. Pick your 3 favorite modern slip joints. And, well, that's really a loaded question, at least in my opinion. I'm a traditional guy. I've been collecting slip joints for a very long time. It is obviously the knife that makes up the bulk of my collection. But what makes a modern slip joint? This is going to be a little bit of a rant, maybe a little bit of a ramble, but at the same time, I think it's a really good question, because I think every generation that comes along among knife makers makes a modern knife. They take all the advantages of whatever is modern at the time to create a new version of the same knife. And sometimes that is a very small change. Now, I think today what we're looking at in modern slip joints, some of the things that people are looking at is new materials being used. So new steels, new cover materials, things like that. If that is the case, then at one time, this TL29 was a modern knife compared to this one, because this TL29 is using wood covers, but because of the expediency of World War II, wood no longer became the best option, so they moved over to tinite, a type of thermoplastic, and started making the covers out of that because it was more durable, would last longer, so on and so forth. So does that make this TL29 a modern knife? It does for the 1940s and 1950s. This becomes a modern knife. Same with this knife. You don't think of it, but this knife, it was even modern compared to the same knife that was being issued in 1944. This came out a few years later. Among features, it's got a brand new feature that, yes, other knives had it, but they did not have it like that. And that is this. This is the innovative safety can opener. This came out in 1946, was patented in 46, finally became available to the world around 1952. Then other knife makers could start using it and such. The safety can opener. So, not to mention, this is no longer using this antiquated tinite thermoplastic. This is using a Delrin cover. So this would have been a modern idea when it came out back in the 50s. In the 1950s, this would have been a modern slip joint in all aspects. This is what people would have thought of as a modern slip joint. So where does it begin? So by modern now, I guess we're talking about knives that we would consider modern by today's standards. So this generation's modern slip joint is what we're really looking at, is as for what is a modern knife or a modern slip joint. This generation, what this generation should be considering a modern slip joint. And for that reason, I have to go back and apologize to somebody on YouTube, because one of the knives they pulled out for a modern knife was a Swiss Army knife, because that was Singing Toad. He pulled out the Swiss Army knife as a modern knife. Now, in theory, that sounds ludicrous, because Swiss Army knives have been made for well over 100 years. But the Swiss Army knife has also evolved and taken advantages of new technologies and stuff, because this is a modern Swiss Army knife from the 1950s. But this is a modern Swiss Army knife from the 1980s or 1990s, I think, more like maybe even the 2000s. I'm not sure exactly when they finally settled on the compact, but there are many things in this knife that would have been seen as an innovation in the older knife, and one of them being the use of the keyring here, which then also allowed for the scales to be popped off. These scales can be popped off. These scales are hollow. At one time they were solid. And they just had little grooves cut in it for like the toothpick and tweezer. Now, yeah, the toothpick and tweezers have been in there for a long time, but the writing pin, not so much. So this is new. You know, the writing pin was a new idea. The adding of a small screwdriver for your eyeglasses into the corkscrew, a new idea for Victorinox. Also, you've got the nail file on the back of the parcel hook, which you only find on, I believe, on the compact. But that is also a new idea. But that is also a new idea that was brought back from old, because other knives did have something similar on back tools. The compact is relatively new. It's from like the 1980s. I'm sorry, the combination tool here. This is a can opener, it's a cap lifter, it's a wire stripper, you know, all of that in one little tool. And that was a newer idea, I think, from the 1980s. So when you think of how long Swiss Army knives have been around, they have continuously evolved, and they have also moved into new manufacturing techniques. They have replaced their factory, I think, on at least 2 occasions now to totally upgrade, re-innovate, bring in new equipment for construction and everything else. Where people fault Swiss Army knives for is that they have not introduced new steels, but they have actually evolved in the type of steel that they use. The thing is it's just not the high-end steel that everyone is expecting. But for a mass-produced pocket knife for general use in the pocket and for worldwide appeal, the steel they're using is probably the best steel available for that purpose. So in many ways, I was wrong. The Swiss Army knife, though it looks very old, they have been very innovative, and they continue to look at new ways to produce basically the same knife, but in a new way. So it's up to you to decide if you think that makes it a modern folder or not, or a modern slip joint. But considering they're taking advantages of all the modern technologies to produce their knives, you kind of give them props. It really is a modern slip joint. It just doesn't look it. Well, if you follow Fun Knife Friday, there's a knife that I'm sure all of you are familiar with, and that is the Green Skull Stiletto. I mean, it's one of Skip's favorite knives. See there, it's got the half serrated blade and everything is all sculled out and everything in this green color. Got the cap lifter on the bottom there. Nice little liner lock. This actually does work fairly well too. I'm kind of impressed with it. 448 stainless steel. It does have a thumb stud that you can use to release the blade too. Being right-handed might help with that. I cannot work the thumb stud to save my life, but it is a flipper knife, so that works out real well. And I think you're all familiar with this knife, especially if you follow Fun Knife Friday. Well, there's two other ones out there that are, I guess you could say, country cousins to it. And that is this one here. And which one is this? You got the Red Skull Stiletto. What timing to bring these out, right? Because Christmas time and everything, red and green, right? But there you go. You can also get this in red skulls. Probably more popular with some people these days. And finally, the third one. Yeah, I had to get all three of them finally. I broke down and got them. I saw them. They were dirt cheap, so I had to just go ahead and grab them. I think when I picked up this one originally, it was like $8, and that was $8 shipped. And these came in at just under $10 shipped. And this one is the white skulls. It looks more like a gray skull, but ooh, gray skull. What is that? Isn't that the whole He-Man thing? By the power of a gray skull. Yeah, you could just flip this open. By the power of gray skull. And have this one open, you know. It's a really nice knife, actually. Kind of goofy with the paint jobs on them and everything. Now, I like it. I get that. A lot of other people would not like it. But the blade, they operate really smoothly. The lockup is really good. All of these have really good lockups on them. It is just 448 stainless steel. And you do have the half serrations, which I know a lot of people would not like. But it's easy for me to operate one-handed. So you've got that going for it. And the thing is you know, for basically your truck stop knife for $10, these are really good. And they, you know, I don't know. I probably enjoy them way too much for a grown man. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention to you is one of the things I'm thinking about doing is picking up another one and seeing how difficult it is to strip all the painting off of them, you know, all the coating off of them, and see what it looks like once it's all stripped down, and have a fourth one. Don't know if I'm going to do that or not. Probably end up giving these to Skip. But if these are knives that you're interested in, the green one is sold out. I haven't seen a green one for sale in years, but the red and the white are still out there. They're still available, and like I said, they function really well. I would put this against like a Kershaw or something that's going for $40–50 the way it works. Obviously there's no lock on them, so the blade doesn't lock. You know, there's no speed assist. What is it, the safety lock that Kershaw uses? I can't even remember the name of it right now, but nothing like that on there. But the 440A isn't that bad of a steal, and other than obviously being a truck stop knife, it's one of the better truck stop knives, and I think a couple of people out there would attest to that as well. In any case, I thought I'd let you know that the red and the white are still out there. You're just not going to find the green. Talk to you again soon.
Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with Tobias. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.